Also, welcome those who join us online remotely. We are here on our last session, number 6, with the wonderful topic describing, enhancing, serving users. And all 7 presentations will get this topic from different aspects. Before we start, I want to urge all of the speakers to keep the time frame. So we have 7 speakers in a row without any break. Afterwards, we deserve a break, of course, but within no break, and we should end punctually. So 20 minutes, please. I will give you a hint if you are in danger to take a little bit more time, because we finally want to also have some spare time for questions. So let's start. I want to welcome Agnia Lesnicinoka, warm welcome here, and from the Latvian National Archive, and she will give us an overview about the diaspora database of the National Archive of Latvia and the opportunities and challenges connected with this. Thank you very much.
Buongiorno and good morning, dear hosts and guests. Thank you for having me today. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here to share my experience of the National Archives of Latvia. And today I would like you to introduce to the Diaspora database of the National Archives of Latvia. And it is a unique platform that allows us to explore the fate of Latvians after World War II and the Second Soviet occupation in 1944, when thousands of Latvians were forced to leave Latvia, live in refugee camps in Germany until the end of 1940s, and emigrate to North America, Australia, and other parts of the world around 1950. And this database is not just a repository of documents. It tells the story of the division of Latvian society between the free world and the Soviet regime, and highlights the efforts to preserve national identity and the continuation of the idea of Latvian statehood beyond the borders of Latvia. And over the past 35 years, since Latvia regained its independence from Soviet occupation, the National Archives of Latvia has systematically identified and collected exile documents from United States, Canada, Brazil, Australia, Great Britain, Sweden, Germany, and other countries. As a result, today, Archive holds the largest documentary heritage of Latvian exile. And one of the symbols and associations with these exile documents are banana boxes, because several thousands of these documents we have received in banana boxes. That's an interesting fact. And yes, about this diaspora database, in order to make this documentary heritage of exile accessible to researchers and to strengthen understanding of the history of exile and diaspora, a few years ago, a portal was launched that brings together several databases in one place. And this database compiles 3 fundamental blocks. And the first block is diaspora documents in archive, and it's like an overview of diaspora document collections from National Archives of Latvia, Latvian museums, libraries, and foreign diaspora repositories. But today our focus are only on this Latvian State Archives funds. And these funds consist of private document collections from politicians, writers, artists, public figures, such as biographical documents, documents of creative and public work, diaries, notes, records, letters, photographs, and audiovisual documents, and various documents collected during a lifetime. The second group is document collections of public, professional, religious, and cultural organizations such as statutes, congress and conference materials, circulars and newsletters, correspondence, photographs, and etc. And yes, and after you click on this line, Latvian State Archive Funds, you will see a list of all diaspora funds and collections. And this is just a little part of this list. You can scroll down and see the rest of this list. But I want to tell that these funds and collections are not digitized. When you clicking on a specific fund or collection, you can read only the information about this fund or collection, such as historical background, and open an attached PDF file with description of the files that consist these funds and collections. So, yes, but there is one specific exception, and this is the document collection of Carl Zarinch. Carl Zarinch was a diplomatic in the Great Britain, and in this October we celebrated the inclusion of album collection Life of Latvian Refugees in camps in Germany into the UNESCO's Memory of the World National Register of Latvia. And now all these 14 albums are digitalized and available. And this album collection is a very unique documentary testimony to the daily lives of Latvian refugees in post-war Germany. And these albums were presented as a gift to Karl Zarinch, who visited refugee camps in 1949. And the second fundamental block is the databases, especially registration cards of Latvian citizens in emigration. And this card index contains information about Latvian citizens who fled to Germany and other countries after World War II. And this index was started in 1945 by Latvian Central Council and the Latvian Red Cross, which were the main representatives of Latvian refugees in Germany. And it covers the period from 1943 to 1951 and includes approximately 130,000 people. And when the mass emigration from Germany to new countries of residence began, the card index was transferred to Great Britain and kept by Latvians. But in 1995, the card index was transferred to the Latvian State Archives. And these cards contain the following information: name, surname, date and place of birth, occupation, education, last place of residence in Latvia, the location of the displaced persons camp, and the country to which the person moved from Germany. Some cards contain full information, while others are incomplete. And all cards were digitalized manually during over several years and entered also manually into this database. And for example, I searched for a person named Uldis Siliņš, and in this card we can read that he was born in 1930 in Riga. His last location in Latvia was Ādažu parish, district, and his last location in Germany was displaced Latvian camp in Altgārg, and he was elementary pupil. And also there is information about his relatives, his mother Elsa, who was born in 1904. And on other side of this card, we can see his last location in Germany, displaced persons camp in Dedelsdorf, and in 1949 he emigrated to Australia. So, and the next database is Legionaries Passport. First of all, who were the Latvian legionaries? After the first Soviet occupation of Latvia in 1940 came the Nazi occupation in 1941. and tens of thousands of young Latvian men were forcibly conscripted into the Latvian Legion, and which was a military unit within the German army. And it is essential to emphasize that the majority of these soldiers did not join voluntarily, but were mobilized under threat of punishment, did not fight for Nazi ideology, and saw participation mainly as the only way to defend Latvia against renewed Soviet occupation and repressions. And their primary motivation was the hope of protecting their homeland and eventually restoring Latvia's independence, not serving the Nazi regime. And in the 1943, when Latvian men were mobilized, their passports and other ID documents were confiscated. Later, under unknown circumstances, the documents ended up in Lübeck, Germany, where representatives of Latvian organizations obtained them from USA Army. And they were later moved to Great Britain, but in 2003, the documents were transferred to the Latvian State Archives. And the collection consists of almost 30,000 ID documents, from which 5 databases have been created according to document types. But these documents are not digitalized yet because they contain personal and sensitive data. The database allows you to search for individuals by first name, last name, and the year of birth. The results provide the document number, which you can use to request the document in person at the archive or online, confirming your family relationship or research purposes. For example, I searched for a person with the surname Baumanis, and the results show me all the possible people with this surname. As you can see, there are included also this birthplace and birth date and the case number. The third block are dedicated to virtual exhibitions. One of the ways we promote the documentary heritage of the diaspora on a wide range of topics. They reflect the efforts of Latvians in exile to preserve their identity, culture, language, and their non-violent fight for the restoration of Latvia's independence in an international area. And these virtual exhibitions are my specific field. So a little bit of this technical structure. The database management system was originally Microsoft Access, but now it's MySQL. The front-end framework is PHP with Bootstrap design. The search tool is very simple. You can search by first name, last name, year of birth, bond or collection name or number, and virtual exhibitions are created using free versions of WordPress. And database opportunities. First of all, research. New knowledge about exile and diaspora history, analysis of migration and social processes. The second is family history, reconnecting this database reconnecting families, restoring personal identities and roots, and make bridges between generations and continents. And also society and cultural policy. Digitally accessible content for museums, schools, and also this database strengthening patriotism and diaspora engagement. And also technology development. The online archive as a new form of communication between Latvian society and diaspora. And challenges. The diaspora database is an important digital resource, but its maintenance and development face several significant challenges. First of all, user experience. Currently, foreign users lack multilingual support, and they mostly have to use the translation offered by their browsers. And we also need improvements to the search tools. For example, including spelling differences, ability to search by keywords in different conjugations, and of course, IE searcher tools. The next one is data completeness and quality. Some documents tend to be difficult to read, which can be a time-consuming process, and solution for the future, integration of IE tools with automatic text recognition from handwritten and damaged documents in Latvian and other languages. And third, privacy-sensitive personal data. The database contains personal data on living or recently deceased individuals, so data protection requirements must be observed. A balance must be struck between public accessibility for research and data protection. And the solution in the future, what we see is logging into the database via latvia.lv, which is the state administration service portal. And the last, integrational data integration. Since the Latvian diaspora is spread across multiple countries, foreign archives remain important. And each country currently has independent systems, so data is not connected. And the solution would be a shared data platforms, harmonized metadata, and joint projects. And at this point, the first step, the future of the diaspora database is closely linked to the cooperation at the Baltic level because the wartime and also the post-war destinies of Latvians, Lithuanians, and Estonians are deeply interconnected. And therefore, the National Archives of Latvia is already cooperating with the Estonian Institute of Historical Memory to create a joint Estonian, Latvian, and Lithuanian digital platform. And in this May, a project was submitted for a European Union funding with the aim of developing a shared platform for data on victims and refugees of World War II in the Baltic region, using modern software solutions and artificial intelligence. And let's see in the near future how successful it will be. So, and it was the very brief overview of our database. And if you have some kind of inspiration, suggestions, or ideas, you are kindly welcome to connect with us or talk with me later during our excursion. So thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you very much for this really concise summary for this really very important tool for common identity in Latvia. In fact, any questions regarding this topic from your side? Perhaps I have one question, or perhaps two. When you started this database, how did you find the persons? You had a kind of name list to start with, celebrities or, I don't know, people of public interest. How do you find the people you want to collect data?
Mostly we started information campaign. We started to connecting with several diaspora organizations, and mostly, yes, we started to build connections with these people. Yes, outside Latvia. So yes.
And you mentioned that, of course, a lot of Latvians flew to Germany till 49. And but where did they stay? Because one part of Germany became Russian, which was not an advantage for the Latvians. So did they move in Germany from the east to the west, to the American zone and the other zone?
Yes, after the 1950 or earlier, they emigrated to America or Canada or Australia, and yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
So I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned that you can, Latvian people can log in with the national ID. Is there something that you can do when you log in that you can't do as an international visitor, the databases? So what is the function of being able to log in?
Oh, login. Oh, the system is very easy. Everyone, if you want to read these refugee cards or to find some relatives or other persons based on these legendary ID documents, you only need to register. You need to be registered by surname and the password, and that's all. It's anybody. Yes, yes. It's available for everyone. Yes.
Question of pure ignorance. In 1930, for example, the population of Latvia consists of genuine Latvian and I suppose quite a substantial German minority and even a Jewish one. Have no idea about the quantity? How many Germans and Jews lived before World War II in Latvia?
Oh, I'm sorry, I won't be able to answer to this. Yes, and I don't have specific knowledge about yes this population. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So let's switch to number 2 to welcome a dear colleague, Dulce Mihailovici from the National Archives of Romania. She will tell us something how to listen to the users, satisfaction and expectation on Romanian this documentary heritage. Presentation is already here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, ICARUS. Thank you, host, for having me here and sharing with you the results of one of my research. Actually, this is the first public presentation of this research. Listening to the users is very important, so I did that. And this is a image transformed with the AI. It's a picture of a research room of the National Archives of Romania from the 70s. And this is how AI thought would look prettier. How I switch with mouse. Oh, yes. My presentation will have me, a few words for those who don't know who am I, a short story about how this idea came up, the goals of the research, some information about the methodology, and then the questionnaire of the users, of the non-users, some conclusions, and finally recommendations. As Carl presented me already, I'm Codruța Mihailovici from the National Archives of Romania. I'm an archivist paleographer there since already 22 years. And I am the representative of this institution in ICARUS since the institution became a member of ICARUS back in 2010. But this research came as a PhD student because my research theme was the access to the Romanian documentary heritage. What I want to emphasize is that I like working with young people. That's why in the National Archives, all the visits, all the workshops with the students and the pupils are in my responsibility, because my colleagues know that I am enjoying working with them. And I I think they are a very important element of the public and future public of the archives. How do users feel when visiting a research room of an archive? Traditional or online? But mostly I will refer to traditional because in Romania, online research is pretty far away to be a reality. This idea came from 20 years or more back, because when I was a student in the third year, I didn't do Bologna studies because I was in the period I've had 4 years faculty and 2 master. So I was on the third year of faculty, and I visited the National Archives study room, and the custodian, a lady, didn't welcome me very well. She was telling me that why did I come so late? I thought 2 years for preparing my dissertation was fine, but apparently wasn't. And she was very unrude with me the entire time period when I studied there. And then I was thinking, if with me, who I am somehow in-house, the Faculty of Archaeology was a satellite of the National Archives of Romania. So if she was so rude with me, and I was thinking back then that I won't come back here, but I needed the documents, so I had to come back. But what happens with other young people or other users who are not used with this treatment? They are not used with very complicated action of research. So from then I was thinking of the users. And now after so long, I was doing something. What I have done, a questionnaire for the users of the archives. My primary goal was to assess the level of the user satisfaction regarding archival heritage services. And because the response from the young people was very low in the very beginning of the questionnaire, I prepared another one for non-users to see, because the lack of the response lead me to the 2 hypotheses. Either they are not using heritage, documentary heritage, either they don't want to fill in the questionnaire. And the second one, why not archives as well, was conducted in order to find the reason why people, especially young people, do not use documentary heritage in their activities. And I was thinking of the young people because they were students or in the proper period of their life when they need this kind of resources to make their papers or to complete their activities. Starting with this in mind, because there is no point in preservation unless it leads to access from the UNESCO recommendation. So the questionnaire for the users of the archives addressed to the users of at least one of these 7 memory institutions in Romania. National Archives, Council for the Study of the Archives of the Securitate, the former political police, military archives, foreign affairs archives, Romanian Academy Library, National Library, and the Library of the National Bank of Romania. This selection was done having in mind the national representativeness, not the content, because for me it's an important one type of document, for others are important others. So not the importance of the documentary preserved, but the national representativeness was the criteria of selection. The questionnaire had 63 questions, so it was a long, exhausting questionnaire, but I needed to have it, and consists of demographic data questions, 7 thematic questions about access procedure, service efficiency, copying services, opening hours, reading room staff, the website or portal of the institution, and the user rights. And I've had also two questions about positives and negatives in regard of the access to the document. First phase of the questionnaire was in May 2024. It's a mistake there because of the low rate of the responses. I almost had to hunt respondents because people nowadays are not willing to respond questionnaires. And I had the second phase in June 2025 to achieve those 87 respondents. The questions were mostly predefined, had mostly predefined responses, and based on 3 levels of satisfaction, and in the each question had also an open field. I choose to have this one, even if this choice made my job harder in the end, in the analysis. But I knew that people want to talk, and I wanted them to allow to express their thoughts also in a free way. It was a link distributed and also a QR code with the questionnaire. The respondents, the profile of the respondents is in there. They are mostly from Romania, only 3 exceptions. The questionnaire was in Romanian, so these 3 foreigners are actually Romanians left abroad. And the most as a type of the archives, they were interested in modern history mostly, and their occupations are in the right. They were mostly in this first row, historical, archival, and research professions, and few in culture, heritage, and arts. The analysis, the questions, as I said, had those 7 thematic variables, and this is the way I have worked with each institution I have presented. This is an example how I worked with the National Archives data. And these are the diagrams I obtained for each institution. And on positive and negative aspects, I have formatted their free answers and have these variables established: access, location, bureaucracy, quantity, online research, logistics, diversity, efficiency, payment facility, or additional facilities, research tool, research period, personnel, staff of the room, access procedure, opening hours, restrictions, copy service, space of work, fees, and transparency. After I have done the entire analysis, I will show you only the comparative summary. Gray is bad, blue is good. National archives and military archives are probably the most well seen by the users, but after all, you can see there is a lot of gray on the diagram. That means that the users are not quite satisfied about what they receive on their research. I had another question at the end after I walked the user through all these questions. In the end, I asked them if they consider their rights are respected in the research room. And for me, it was a surprise that even they mentioned a lot of problems, even in that free field, unexpected, all of them almost are considering that yes, the rights are respected in their experience. So I researched later, and it seems that it is a practical. It is a common phenomena. They do not link the malfunctions and the errors, the systematic malfunctions and the errors with the lack of right. But they almost piece with the idea that that is the situation. Okay, this is what I got. It's somehow okay, but it's not okay. In the end, the winner was the staff, the custodian of the research room. This was highly appreciated. I asked AI to create me a figure of the research, a woman, because in Romania, from that 7 institution, only 1 male custodian I have found. So it is a women job. And in almost all the cases, the custodians, the staff of the research room was highly appreciated and perceived as professional, available, oriented to the user, to the researchers, and it is a main pillar of satisfaction and trust. This is a factor of equilibrium, but even a compensation in the face of other structural limitations. So may some institution consider this a good thing, but actually is not, but because in the back, this hides some malfunctions, some errors that human factor has to solve in the manner they consider, and they are have the knowledge to do it, but in the back, the problems still exist. Of course, there were a lot of dissatisfaction, auxiliary services, digital infrastructure. The Romanian users don't even dream on this online research. Only few institutions had this goal of having online research. About copy procedures, of course, lack of digital tools, and the opening hours as well. From the comments of the users, I have chosen a few remarks and put it in these very sharp tips because nobody likes to have bad reviews. And access is difficult, can take several months to get an appointment. More inventories could be digitized and posted on a website. The research room is outdated. The building looks communist and dusty, resembling as a prison more than a state institution. Lack of the possibility of making digital copy. An institution, some of them were really bad. An institution deeply hostile to the researcher, to the fundamental research. Deadline for delivering photographs are not respected, and requests and appointments are processed only after months of waiting. The services offered are an insult to common sense. And the most bad, the fact that the archives close when the privileged ones arrive is unacceptable in a civilized European country. The fact that you wait for years to get access reminds you of the queues during Ceausescu's time. as I said, the staff was was highly appreciated, and one of the comment was pretty funny. He said, or she said, because it was anonymous, if I were God, I would take half of the staff of these are the institution, National Archives, the Council for the Study of the Communist Securitate, diplomatic or foreign affairs and military archives, and make them all ministers and state secretaries. I would govern the country for a year exclusively through emergency orders drafted by these people, and in this way I would double Romania's GDP and bring all the abnormalities of the state systems back to normal. With the exception of Pitești, this is also a military archive, all the people who work with the public are admirable and would deserve a collective statue. I have also conducted a non-user questionnaire. I wanted to find the socio-demographic data, level of contact to archives, the reason why they don't use or why they use, why they would use, because it was addressed to people who never researched archives, and some ways to increase the attractiveness and this valuable resource were mostly questions closed, binary, semi-opened, combined with predefined answers. It was conducted in March-July 2025, sent with the link or QR. I've had 105 respondents, and the goal was first to explore opinions and to understand them, but one of the second goal was to raise awareness and to promote the value of the archives. Through the predefined questions, I tried to insert in their mind their possibilities regarding this source. And the questionnaire, most of them were students, female, and if I on the question if they entered in a space where was documentary heritage, mostly said yes, but when I asked them if they know where the documentary heritage can be researched, mostly said no. And this is a asymmetry between experience and knowledge, and a gap between the existence of this resource and the possibility of the research. This showed me that they are not considering this as a valuable resource for their purposes. And if I, on this question, mostly said yes, I would like to go to read the documentary heritage. So this is a sign that there is an openness from this public to do it. And if I asked why would they go, most of them said that they are aware that valuable, useful information is in there, and this is a credible resource. Of course, I put some, you can see here exactly the form of predefined answers, which leads to some ideas which I wanted to fix in their mind, because they can find useful and varied information in the archives, because maybe had the ambition to make certain, I want to provoke them also to make certain information known, because it's good to document myself from reliable sources. I like how they look, how they smell. I like all things, because, you know, even among young people, there are melancholics in this sense. And of course, I wanted to show them that they can practically use, because this resource, because the information in documents is well evaluated in a paper. If you don't like, maybe for a higher grade, you will do it. And these are the answers. for the questions, and also factors that could increase the use of the document. And the most of them, they complain about the lack of promotion of the potential of the documentary heritage, also the promotion of research methods, also digital friendly research. They are mostly young, and a welcoming environment in the research spaces. And I choose one comment from a non-user. The new generation will always look online first and only as a last resort in a physical space. She or he said that she would go to see physical in situ something, but only after he or she studied this in online resources. They asked for research tool in the document, and also for a transcription of the text and translation, so he can search for desired word. And yes, he was surprised that a lot of archival material is online. He found something, and she asked also a unique point of access to the documentary heritage. This is, I consider, also very important. If they do not have patience to search here, they want a cultural portal, maybe a digital one, and from there to go in different directions. The conclusion was that there is a paradox between low-level knowledge about where and how to use archives, and they do not know exactly how to do it, and we have to teach them. And this is a sign that there is a sleeping public who is thinking in their dream that on the documentary heritage, and we have to activate all the. Finally, I have done some recommendation as promotion and public visibility. They have requested that public engagement in Romania is a very low level of involving society. Even in the National Archives, we do not have a voluntariat program. I tried to do something, but not call it voluntary or crowdsourcing. Oh no, how can we let them to write something? How can we present in front of the public with an unspecialist note? But you know, when you don't have the resources, you can apply on that. Accelerated digitization, streamlining procedure, training and development of reading room staff, continuing to do that, and archival education and cultural literacy. And here I put it also involving the students, and also I put DDIP as a best practice. And finally, but not as a last one, evaluate the satisfaction of the users. It's very important to know how they are thinking about this. Because a service is not good if the client is unhappy. Why you do it then? Thank you.
Jutta, thank you very much for this very meaningful insight into the internal circumstances and environments and situation of the archival world in Romania. I could imagine that there are some questions. Birgit?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Godro. That was highly interesting. So my first question is this your conducted research the first one at the National Archives Romania?
No. Actually, in 2020, it was a questionnaire addressed to the users, but I'm not sure, it was not anonymous. So people are not really, no, it was somehow, no, it was anonymous in the script, but was shared through emails. So the answers came also through email. So everybody knew where the information came. It was also, but it was not, the data was not published. Yes, yes.
Once all your records level 15 years ago, like all the description on the record level, then the satisfaction by the users will increase. So
Definitely. You know, we have tried to make all the description available. We have tried to complete a project. Evitala was named. I have presented in ICARUS previous convention, but the project was not successful because the operator, the external service, was not able to finish the job. Was overwhelming indeed, but they took the job, but it didn't finish. So, National Archives of Romania actually are doing a lot of effort, put a lot of effort to change this situation. But in the rest, the situation is worse. Yes, I am in. I know. I know. I know. I'm promoting this idea. That's why I have asked many speakers how do they solve the problem of the unspecialized information if they put a note that is done by people.
Thank you. Now, I'm Michael from Arrows Archives. So we have the same problems about 10 years ago. We have we have this, we have some archive units to show, but and then some researchers came. There was okay, it's weak. And after that, we have mentioned about the 10 people staff or people go with us with our own on the internet, and then some all breaks. We have now a lot of visitors online and internet. So I think it's a way to go. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Some other comments? Just one last remark. Thinking about the big gray columns you showed us in some institutions, are there any consequences? You mentioned some recommendations, but do the institutions receive these recommendations, and is there a chance that they change anything to make this, to change the colors?
I didn't publish my result yet. I don't think they're all willing to solve it. They do not care. We have the archives. If you need us, you support the conditions we provide, and that's all. There are some memory institutions who are thinking in this manner, unfortunately.
So thank you very much. HR, Center of Religious History Studies in Portugal. She's asking the question, to digitize or not to digitize, how a small archive manages its collections. No, sorry.
Good morning, everyone. This presentation aims to show the work of the Center for Religious History Studies with personal and institutional archives of a religious nature or related to religion. Since its establishment in 1988, the UCPSR has received, organized, and made available personal and/or family archives, as well as provided support in describing collections created by institutions or for memorial purposes. All these descriptions are available on Papir, platform for personal and religious institutions archives promoted by UCPSR and by institutions and families who by this way can publicize their funds. As you may know, UCPSR is a research unit of the Catholic University of Portugal. Its mission is the study of the history of societies and religions and the dynamics and interactions of the different spheres of life and society. It integrates researchers who, in a collaborative logic, articulate their work around the three thematic axes: memory, heritage, and archives, powers, communities and territories, religiousness, imaginaries, and social structures. The Memory, Heritage and Archives axis includes the Archival Studies Working Group, which develops work in the area of information science, carrying out studies, promoting the collection of personal or institutional archives, or even partnerships with various institutions in order to organize the funds and make the information available to the public. For this purpose, we use a database according with the standards of the International Council of Archives, called Papir platform, and which uses the open source archival description software A2M. The archival description are also accessible on the Portuguese Archives portal and the European Archives portal. Papir is therefore a collaborative platform in which each institution is responsible for the archival descriptions of their funds and for their digitization. In this context, we have a total of 15 institutions, more than 44,000 archival descriptions, 37,252 of them visible, and more than 6,000 digital objects, 1,626 of them visible. 8 institutions have associated digital objects, 3 of which are totally available: the Irmandade dos Clérigos do Porto, the SPES Foundation, and the Benevenuto de Souza family. The remaining funds are not digitized or only partially digitized, resulting from the requests of the researchers. This practice of digitization on demand increases the visibility of the funds as they become searchable using internet browsers. For these first two entities, the digitization was outsourced and was part of the archival description project, which was coordinated by UCPSR. The digitization was made in TIFF images at 300 dpi with PDF derivatives created for inclusion in Papir, whose version at the time only accepted that format. The master and derivative images are stored on an external drive for preservation. In the case of the Benevenuto de Souza family, the archive was entrusted by the family to the UCPSR for organization and description. After this process, in February of 2020, we had the opportunity to digitize the collection free of charge at the UCP library, which had recently acquired a planetary scanner. The digitizations were made in TIFF images at 300 dpi with PDF derivatives created for inclusion in PAPIR. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the work was repeatedly interrupted and not always supervised, resulting in some images with low quality. It wasn't possible to correct them. Other entities are part of the PAPIR, such as Diocesan Archive of Santarém and the Patriarchate of Lisbon, only have small digitized funds, the records of the new churches of the Patriarchate, as part of a research project on these buildings carried out by SER. The actual archives of the dioceses of Santarém and Lisbon have their own databases. The personal archives of Father Abel Varzim, property of the Forum Abel Varzim, and the documentary collection of Margarida Abreu, held by the Católica Research Center for Psychological, Family and Social Well-being, are also partially digitized. Both collections were organized and described by SER. In the first case, the images were provided by the holding entity, resulting from its own efforts to gather records on the life and work of the producer. Some of them have low quality, raising the question of whether they should be or not available. However, we prioritized accessibility as long as the content remained legible. In the second case, the Margarida Abreu collection, we choose to digitize only a few documents for dissemination. At the time, PAPIR was lack of space in the computer server, and the upload capacity of the images was limited, which means that bigger documents could not be displayed, making the database management quite difficult. This situation was only resolved with the acquisition of a new server. Regarding the funds held directly by UCPSR and already described in PAPIR, they are mostly of a personal nature, with two exceptions: the documents produced by the University Social Action Center and the collection of the newspaper ALA, the information bulletin of the Portuguese Catholic Youth for Men. We have a total of 13 funds, but only these ones have associated images. One of them, the fund of Manuel Duque Vieira, contains only 17 documents and is therefore full digitized. Manuel Duque Vieira was a professor and advocate of a Catholic nationalist and conservative movement. During the 1950s and the 1960s, he defended the Church's progressive social theorization promoted by the Second Vatican Council. The fund includes correspondence from Dom José Vieira Alvernaz, Bishop of Coxim, to Manuel Duque Vieira between 1947 and 1963, as well as a photograph of both of them. The second, a full digitized fund, is the Jornal ALA, the information bulletin of the Portuguese Catholic Youth for Men, which is available in the magazine and newspaper archive of UCPSR. The funds of Guilherme Braga da Cruz, his father José Maria Braga da Cruz, António Lino Neto, and Susan Lowndes are partially digitized. The fund of Guilherme Braga da Cruz contains the documents of the professor and dean of the University of Coimbra, dating back to his school years, as well as materials related to the many activities and associations he was involved in, and correspondence with various prominent figures. These documents reflect his affiliation with academic and scientific institutions such as the International Society Francisco Soares, the Portuguese Academy of History, Société Jean Baudin, Max Planck Institute for European Legal History, Académie Internationale des Sciences Politiques, for example. Due to the wide range of topics covered, is one of the most frequently consulted archives. As for the archive of his father, José Maria Braga da Cruz, the fund contains documents to his work as a lawyer, notary, judge counselor, and member of the parliament. He was one of the founders of the Portuguese Catholic Center, is a political party. There are not many digitized documents in this fund. The fund of António Lino Neto contains a diverse set of documents produced, received, and accumulated by the creator throughout his life, education, professional activity as a professor and lawyer, political and religious engagement, cultural and civic involvement, as well as through the social relationships he established and the public roles he held, including member of the parliament. From 1990 to 1934, he was president of the Portuguese Catholic Center. The fund includes correspondence, reports, and other institutional documentation. Alongside the archive of Guilherme Braga da Cruz, is one of the most frequently requested funds. Finally, the archive of Susan Lowndes contains documents produced and gathered through his professional activity as a press correspondent for the Anglo-Portuguese News and other newspapers, and collaboration with Catholic editorial entities in the United States and in the United Kingdom, as well as other materials collected in the context of personal interests. Most of the documents are tests and articles sent to editorial entities, but also includes brochures, photographs, and even bailiffs for, I think, preservation. The fund is frequently requested by researchers. Until 2020, the personal archives digitizing policy of UCPCR was virtually non-existent. When copies of documents were requested, they were generally provided as photocopies, either collected in person or sent by mail to the researcher upon payment. Occasionally, some documents were digitized, but this service was outsourced. It is important to remind that SER is a research unit that holds archival funds, but its primary function is not that of an archive. So it did not have staff exclusively dedicated to archival work, nor equipment such as basic scanners or planetary machines, nor a digitizing policy for its funds. As I mentioned, only fundraised archival projects included full digitization. For the others, the only option was to apply for programs such as Iberarchivos or the European Archives Portal, unfortunately without success despite several attempts. Starting in 2020, with the entrance of a researcher full-time dedicated to archive management, there were efforts to preserve the requested images. All digitized images from the 4 fonts previously mentioned were gathered and watermarked. No scanners were required, but we used the photocopy university machines, which allow digitization in various formats, including color TIFF at 300 dpi. These images are stored as master files on an external drive, from which PDFs, watermarked derivatives, are created for inclusion in Papir. We don't not have digital preservation software like Arquivomatica. So there are still some issues to be solved, although the instructions to carry out color digitization in TIFF format at 300 dpi, sometimes the person charged to do the digitization is not always the same, which means that the master files are not created or that the document is not always digitized in color. Additionally, for larger formats, it is necessary to rely on outsourced services. These archives contain the memory of their producers, so their preservation and access are essential both for the research community and for the general public. Small institutions like SER have to overcome some challenges to make their collections available according to quality standards. There is still a long way to go. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this overview about the activities in the Center for Religious Studies. Any remarks, questions? Good.
Microphone perhaps?
Yes, of course.
You're a small institution. Thank you very much for all your efforts. But I have a general question to the public here. Why do you make additional problems with watermarking your images? That's an additional step. Why? Is it really necessary? Has it any benefits? And your institution is by far not the only one who does this.
No, in Portugal is not the only institution. The National Archive also did it.
Why? What's the reason?
It's an old question that is related with the copy of the images and the copyright. But there are many institutions that do it. The National Archive, there is a colleague from.
I'm part of the. Yes, okay. In Portugal, it's very usual to add these watermarks concerning to that are on the databases online. I don't know what's the procedure in the procedure of this, but the National Archives, the point is, if you don't want the images with the watermark, you have to pay. Because the images that are available on the database are only on JPEG. Okay. So if you buy the images, you will get it. It's not expensive at an archive. You have to pay it, and then you will get it in high resolution. So.
Any other questions, remarks? If not, thank you very much. And we're proceeding to the next couple of speakers, I suppose. Just you. Both, that's perfect. Claudia Marina Barata Moreschini from the Archivio Histórico Ultramarino in Portugal, dealing with the question, the digitizing colonial archives challenges from the Archivio Histórico Ultramarino. 2 seconds.
Yes. The changes, it's here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. Good morning. Buongiorno. So, thanks to the opportunity to have me here today. So, I'm Claudia, representing also my colleague, Ana Canas. She's not here today, but the presentation is from me and from her. I'm a senior archivist at Arquivo Histórico Ultramarino, and today I'll be sharing our experience with digitizing colonial archives challenges from the Arquivo Histórico Ultramarino. So, the mission of Portuguese Overseas Historical Archive is to guarantee the access to this archival heritage shared by Portugal and other countries and communities, namely Angola, Brazil, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, São Tomé and Príncipe, Mozambique, former Portuguese possessions in India, East Timor, and Macau, and its conservation for the future generations. And it can be used for building memories and identities, to create knowledge in different areas, for cultural activities, and as evidence for legal and other purposes. The archive was created in 1941 under the Ministry of Colonies. Today, it's a small public unit from the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. The collection covers materials from the mid-17th century to the 1974-75, focusing on regions where Portugal maintained a colonial presence or influence, as well as the corresponding connected areas such as Angola, Brazil, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, India, Macau, North Africa, Mozambique, São Tomé, and Príncipe and Timor. So the archiving numbers, we have more than 16 kilometers of archive records that includes a vast collection of documents and images. Material range from architectural drawings and maps to photographs and iconography. And our libraries has another 30,000 items, including monographs and periodicals. Our archive Unite operates with a small team to 13, not 30. It could be better, but no. Just 14. Just 14. 6 archivists and 6 members of the support staff and head officer. Our work can be divided into 3 main functions: archive processing, which involves organizing, cataloging, and preserving of materials, public access, assisting researchers, management of the reading room, and response to information requests and digital activities, digitation, digital preservation, and online access. Concerning 2 previous projects, so we had Colonos and Repatriados. It was funded by Family Search with 363,000 images. And Project Resgate Cabo Verde, funded by the National Archive of Cape Verde and Portuguese State, with 78,900 images. And the Nenbu Archives, which are UNESCO's Memories of the World. It was an in-house project with 6,713 images. And Project Resgate Cabo Verde, that was 2,500 microfilm rolls and plus 808 photos from cartography and the iconography, funded by Brazilian public and private identities. So, concerning to this project, so through the Next Gen EU funded Portugal's Recovery and Resilience Plan is supporting the cultural networks and digital transition, allowing the future preservation of archival heritage. Was the first project involving all the archive team. Through the digitization was carried on by outsourcing, aligned with the Portugal's Recovery and Resilience Plan goals of a green, digital, and resilient transformation. The project goals included the digitalization of 1,370,000 records into high-resolution digital images for preservation and accessibility of archival heritage, integration to Portuguese and European cultural digital dissemination infrastructure. The time frame was more than 1 million images to be produced in less than 3 years. Considering to the technical requirements, high resolution digital capture, ensuring that faithful reproduction of original materials, the strict compliance with handling and conservation standards during all stages of digitization, and creation of metadata and management of digital files to guarantee the accessibility and long-term preservation, and secure and storage and data transfer procedures to protect digital assets. So, regarding to selection criteria, priority was given to records that are already described or at minimum have a reference code in the Digitarc database, that it's our database common to all the archives in the General Directorate, and public demand that materials frequently requested by researchers were prioritized as well for digitation, and conservation considerations, fragile and heterogeneous documents requiring specialized handling equipment are included as well. And accessibility issues, records that are difficult to access physically, such as those stored on ice shelves, are also selected. So, involves digitizing cultural heritage using technologies like scanning, creating online platforms for access and engagement, and disseminating the content through international standards and innovation tools, dedicated online platforms and repositories to host and showcase digital heritage. This process requires a focus on metadata, interoperability, and creating rich, accessible user experience, while navigating challenges like resource limitations and digital divides. To ensure that the digitization process maintains high quality and stays on schedule, we follow a clear system of monitoring and evaluation. So this includes regular reporting, weekly and monthly reports, including validation through a minimum of 10% sampling of the digitized materials, performance evaluation, continuous assessment of production and quality standards, and compliance measures, penalties applied in case of delays or non-compliance with establishment requirements. So, to guarantee the reliability and consistency of the digitization process, a rigorous quality control system is applied at every stage of production. This process involves both the contracted company and the archive itself, working together to ensure all the materials meet the requirements, technical and preservation standards. Comprehensive oversight, a quality control is performed through all the stages of production, and dual responsibility by the contracted company following technical specifications and by the archive, of course, in accordance with established standards, assessing not only image quality, about the resolution, legibility, blurring, and accuracy, and the document correspondence, but also the reference code, which ensures correct integration into the system, and the verification tools, quality and quantity checks of the delivered images are conducted using open access software. So this first project, it focuses on the enforcement of cultural networks, strengthening cooperation and sharing resources among heritage institutions. Secondly, it promotes democratization of access. Through digital platforms, we are expanding public access to archival materials that were once available only to a limited audience. This not only enables visibility, but also allows a wider public to engage with our shared heritage. In addition, the project actively supports research, education, and innovation by facilitating knowledge creation and a disciplinary collaboration. So as you can see, we have here our database. It's not only to our archive, but also to all of the archives from the General Directorate in Portugal. So I invite you all to explore later, take a picture, and have a look. So furthermore, it directly contributes to European goals, particularly the European Union's digital transition strategy, marking an important milestone in Portugal's own cultural digital transformation. Finally, and perhaps most important, it ensures long-term preservation by safeguarding the accessibility and integrity of our archive heritage. We are making sure that these collections continue to inform, inspire, and connect future generations and societies. Altogether, this initiative represents not only a technological achievement, but also a collective cultural commitment, one that bridges the past and the future through digital heritage. It is expected that this project will be made fully available to the public by 2026, ensuring that our archival heritage remains preserved, accessible, and meaningful for us and for future generations. So, thank you very much. You have here my email and our website. Feel free to explore.
Thank you very much for
Thank
this
you.
overview of this quite important aspect of Portuguese history, global history.
Global history.
Yes. Any questions regarding this? Yes, of course.
You mentioned in your presentation that you put penalties.
Yes, if
Thinking do it because for us it was very difficult to understand and understand how much work was to be done, and so to effectively put penalties on if you do not reach the objective.
by the company, the Portuguese, our general directorate and or the archive will have penalties. It was money. Yes, we had to pay big money, big amount of money. Yes, yes. If we don't achieve the goals in this project, we have to pay a fee.
You, the National Archive.
Yes, we have to pay the outsourced company. Yes,
Not the outsourced. The archive.
in the both ways. So it was a big pressure. We'll end with the outsourced company. Will end now in November. So it was a big pressure because I mentioned here it was 2022, but it only started in 2023. Delays, we are letting. So yes, it was money.
Okay. Any other? Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next group of speakers, 3 of you from the Archivio di Stato di Roma, want to welcome Claudia Ambrosio, Maria Ocuzzi, and Eleonora Latanzi, one after the other, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, you will speak Italian, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this contribution will be addressed to the Italian-speaking part of you about the project Revire, Resources Within Resources, the treatment of non-documentary resources dedicated to an archival in an archival context. Please.
Good morning, everybody. The State Archive Room would like to thank the organizer, the ICARUS Convention, and we are going to speak in Italian about our project, which focuses on the strangest things, passami di espression, we can find in the archives. Oltre accanto alle carte, gli archivi spesso celano all'interno dei propri fondi un mondo sommerso di risorse non strettamente documentarie. È il caso piuttosto frequente e non troppo inatteso di fotografie e lastre fotografiche, ma accanto a queste si devono annoverare le risorse bibliografiche, non di rado presenti nelle unità archivistiche nella specie di libri antichi, manifesti, bandi, periodici, opuscoli, ma è possibile imbattersi anche in svariati beni tipologicamente inattesi e di valenza museale, come oggetti d'uso quotidiano, tra cui banconote, campioni di tessuti, nonché ritrovamenti davvero inconsueti come questo paralume, o ancora veri e propri reperti storici, quali gradi, mostrine o addirittura frammenti di ordini bellici. Tali oggetti culturali risultano annidati nelle unità archivistiche, si trovano infatti frammisti alle carte o ad esse materialmente vincolati in senso logico e fisico. In casi più estremi la singola testimonianza vale da pubblicazione bibliografica sul recto e da documento sul verso, come nell'esempio che vedete nella slide, o ancora per effetto di pratiche di riuso risulta reimpiegata nel confezionamento di beni diversi come questi mantici di organi musicali. È evidente la natura ibrida di simili risorse, che sono per un verso parti di complessi organici di documenti e per altro verso oggetti culturali spesso rari, se non addirittura unici, portatori di per sé di significato sul piano fotografico, bibliografico, artistico ed etnoantropologico. Prova ne è il crescente numero di iniziative espositive volte proprio a valorizzare il duplice valore intrinseco di tali ibridi d'archivio. Così nel contesto della mostra I merletti dei papi, inaugurata lo scorso anno a Bruges, sono stati esposti documenti contabili settecenteschi della Camera Apostolica, conservati presso l'Archivio di Stato di Roma, pregevoli anche perché caratterizzati dalla presenza in allegato di un ricco campionario di merletti fiamminghi. Allo stesso modo, bandi e opuscoli a stampa restituiti dai fondi degli ospedali storici romani si offrono all'occhio dei visitatori nella mostra La cura dello spirito, attualmente in corso presso la Sala Alessandrina dell'Archivio di Stato di Roma. Ancora, gli oggetti tipologicamente inattesi rinvenuti tra le carte sono stati al centro di una mostra dedicata, dal titolo emblematico De Rebus in Archivo, allestita presso l'Archivio di Stato di Padova in occasione delle ultime giornate europee del patrimonio. Malgrado l'evidente rilevanza di questi materiali come fonti storiche e come oggetti materiali, alcuni problemi sistemici impediscono di sfruttarne il potenziale informativo per la ricerca storica. In particolare, in considerazione della varietà delle situazioni conservative illustrate, il materiale in certi casi viene estrapolato dai fondi e collocato in sezioni speciali, come la biblioteca dell'istituto, qui ne vedete un'immagine, con un'azione però lesiva sul piano archivistico. In altri casi invece resta frammisto alle carte e perciò occulto perché non sottoposto a specifica descrizione, ma tutt'al più segnalato in maniera approssimativa negli inventari archivistici. E questo di fatto impedisce a studiosi di ambito bibliografico, storico-artistico, etnoantropologico di rintracciare risorse di potenziale interesse per la ricerca. Da più parti giunge l'eco di un interesse crescente verso questi materiali eterogenei, spesso protagonisti di post pubblicati sulle pagine social degli istituti archivistici, qui un esempio dall'Archivio di Stato di Benevento. Tuttavia, il trattamento di patrimoni così trasversali ai domini MAB resta un nodo da sciogliere. Interpretando questa esigenza, l'Archivio di Stato di Roma ha avviato un censimento a tappeto delle risorse non documentarie presenti nei propri fondi e sulla scorta delle riflessioni sollecitate da questi casi di studio ha lanciato il progetto REWIRE, acronimo di Resources Within Resources, con l'obiettivo generale di restituire visibilità ai beni non documentari celati fra le carte, per l'appunto le risorse nelle risorse, i beni nei beni, progettandone modalità di rappresentazione informatizzata che valorizzino in ottica interdisciplinare il dato bibliografico, fotografico, materiale in contesto archivistico. In tal senso l'acronimo scelto, con un gioco di parole che ruota attorno al significato del termine inglese rewire, letteralmente rifare un impianto, allude proprio al proposito di ripensare l'impianto concettuale e descrittivo dei sistemi di inventariazione e catalogazione del patrimonio e di fruizione dei relativi oggetti digitali. Queste le finalità del progetto: valorizzare il capitale semantico di beni eterogenei, preservando sia il profilo specifico sia le relazioni di contesto che ne fanno dei non convenzionali pezzi d'archivio; monitorare il patrimonio sommerso per evitare dispersioni e pianificare mirate azioni di tutela e valorizzazione; incrementare e diversificare l'utenza, intercettando quel segmento di pubblico interessato ai beni del dominio bibliografico e museale, ma che solitamente non cercherebbe tali risorse all'interno dell'ambito archivistico. Mettere a frutto l'esperienza in corso in tema di interoperabilità tra sistemi diversi e accrescere le possibilità di scambio di risorse, tecnologie, saperi e buone pratiche fra i domini in ottica MAB. Il progetto infatti è vincitore del bando Digital MAB per la selezione di progetti formativi di ricercazione per la convergenza digitale tra musei, archivi e biblioteche, promosso dalla Scuola Nazionale del Patrimonio e delle Attività Culturali nell'ambito del programma DICOLAB. Per affrontare le sfide al centro del progetto sono stati individuati i possibili spazi di azione procedendo per fasi, come ci illustrerà la collega Ambrosio, a cui passo la parola. Grazie.
Vabbè. Ok, no, ci siamo. Il progetto Rewire della durata di 10 mesi ha preso avvio nel settembre di quest'anno, con la costituzione di un team di lavoro interdisciplinare di cui fanno parte, oltre a me e alle qui presenti colleghe, il funzionario archivista Angelo Restaino che coordina il progetto, una funzionaria bibliotecaria Flavia Bruni, una funzionaria storica dell'arte Maria Onori, affiancata dalle colleghe Ludovica Piazzi e Sara Visco, e una funzionaria archivista con specifiche competenze in ambito informatico, Lina Antonietta Coppola. Al gruppo si è aggiunto da poco il dottor Marco Lanzini del Venice Center for Digital and Public Humanities, parte del Dipartimento di Studi Umanistici dell'Università Ca' Foscari. Mentre la comunità scientifica ha intessuto relazioni cross-dominio risultate in un coordinamento MAB attivo già a partire dal 2011, nel Ministero della Cultura si è stentato a trovare momenti di scambio tra gli ambiti. Le diverse professionalità, infatti, seppur ampiamente rappresentate, sono state troppo spesso relegate ciascuna al proprio settore, fattore che non ha agevolato il confronto nei punti di convergenza tra i domini. L'approccio basato sulla condivisione dei saperi, invece, è tendenza nettamente prevalente nelle attuali direttrici del MIC. Basti pensare all'istituzione della Digital Library, che ha come missione, tra le altre, cito, sviluppare nuovi modelli di creazione del valore in una logica di ecosistema. Oppure al recente vaglio del progetto EcoMIC, nonché dello stesso asset Digital Mab, in cui si inserisce appunto il finanziamento del progetto Rewire. Il superamento dei confini disciplinari avviene tuttavia anche attraverso i partenariati con istituti centrali, con l'obiettivo di ragionare concretamente intorno alla possibile interoperabilità tra piattaforme dei diversi domini. Come richiesto dal programma Digital Mab, il progetto Rewire si è dovuto conformare alla metodologia di ricercazione, la quale suggerisce di procedere per fasi cicliche di osservazione, riflessione e azione. Dunque, dopo aver avviato momenti di confronto tra le figure presenti nel team e aver coinvolto istituti di cui erano note esperienze di valorizzazione delle risorse non documentarie, è emersa la necessità di estendere la riflessione ad altri esperti della disciplina per recuperare eventuali suggestioni relativamente al trattamento di tali beni. Un breve questionario è stato quindi divulgato tramite canali mail e social. Ci è sembrato di riuscire per lo più a raggiungere archivisti di Stato che di altri enti o liberi professionisti. Il 98% dei partecipanti, ben oltre le nostre aspettative, ha dichiarato di aver incontrato nella sua attività risorse non documentarie annidate nei fondi archivistici. Mentre rispetto alla frequenza solo il 14% sostiene che ciò avvenga di rado. Interessante notare come tutte le tipologie di beni elencate, benché non esaustive, siano state rinvenute all'interno della documentazione, con una leggera prevalenza per i materiali grafici e bibliografici. Tali beni sono stati rintracciati in tutte le tipologie di fondi archivistici indicati, per lo più all'interno di fondi di famiglie e persone. Dal punto di vista del condizionamento, i materiali sono stati indicati come affiancati ai documenti all'interno delle stesse unità di conservazione piuttosto che separati o cuciti ad esse. Il trattamento delle risorse è risultato forse l'aspetto più controverso del questionario. Le attività svolte sui beni appaiono come le più svariate, dal semplice censimento alla descrizione analitica secondo standard di riferimento. Tali schedature risultano molto spesso però effettuate sul solo Excel, come dicono 63 archivisti intervistati, e non sempre frutto di buone pratiche condivise. Solo il 25% infatti le ha messe in campo nel proprio istituto. Relativamente alle specifiche competenze nell'ambito della catalogazione bibliografica o museale, i partecipanti, laddove non fossero già in possesso di queste nel 32% dei casi, hanno per lo più dimostrato estremo interesse, sentendo in alcuni casi che fossero fondamentali o arrivando a integrarle laddove mancanti. In conclusione, vorrei citare alcuni dati sulla visibilità di questi beni. Nonostante solo una piccola percentuale di istituti abbia sviluppato attività o progetti direttamente collegati alle risorse non documentarie, come ci ha appena illustrato la collega Boccuzzi, la loro presenza viene comunque valorizzata quasi ovunque, con modalità diverse, dalla sola citazione negli inventari alla pubblicazione su piattaforme specializzate, mentre l'urgenza di mettere in condizione l'utenza di conoscere meglio questo tipo di materiali con varie modalità è sentita da tutti coloro che hanno risposto, ad eccezione di 7 partecipanti. Le persone che hanno partecipato alla consultazione anonima sono state invitate a lasciare il loro contatto per essere aggiornate sul Rewire e il 50% lo ha fatto. Questo ci consente di avere una comunità di riferimento interessata alle tematiche da interrogare su specifici quesiti e con cui condividere i materiali che verranno prodotti al termine delle attività. La raccolta dei risultati ci ha permesso di approfondire alcuni aspetti del progetto e procedere infine verso una nuova fase che prevede la descrizione delle risorse ibride selezionate all'interno di un ambiente informatico, tenendo conto che ad operare saranno archivisti, professionisti non sempre dotati delle competenze specialistiche necessarie al trattamento di risorse librarie o di beni storico-artistici. Di queste e delle successive attività progettuali già in corso parlerà nel dettaglio la collega Eleonora Lattanzi.
Salve. Allora, proprio per sviluppare quest'ultimo punto affrontato dalla collega Claudia Ambrosio, partirei dalla citazione che qui vedete, che proviene da un saggio del 1999, nel quale Stefano Vitali, allora membro dell'International Council on Archive, nella commissione per la descrizione archivistica, ipotizzava come l'uso delle allora nuove tecnologie avrebbe potuto portare proprio a convergenze nella descrizione di queste tipologie dette di confine, con particolare riguardo al superamento fra gli archivi e le biblioteche. Ovviamente è inutile rimarcarlo che a distanza di 30 anni moltissima strada è stata fatta in questo senso, come dimostra anche le giornate di questo convegno, ma secondo me e secondo noi alcune suggestioni rimangono tuttora valide. In particolare vorremmo rimarcare due concetti che ci sembrano attuali e soprattutto ben si adattano alla riflessione che stiamo portando avanti all'interno del progetto Rewild, come detto ancora in fase di sviluppo. Quello di sperimentazione a livello di singola unità documentaria e soprattutto quello del recupero delle informazioni di varia natura proveniente anche dai nostri strumenti di ricerca. Per quanto riguarda la sperimentazione, è opportuno sottolineare ovviamente che il tempo e lo scopo del progetto, per il tempo e lo scopo del progetto non puntiamo ad uno sviluppo tecnico e tecnologico di tracciati di dati, ma vorremmo in realtà contribuire profondamente ad una riflessione teorica che ci auguriamo porterà in un secondo tempo alla implementazione dei tracciati. La domanda che in realtà, anzi le domande che in realtà ci hanno mosso, come avete potuto capire dagli interventi delle colleghe, è di natura teorica con evidenti riverberi di pratica. Come poter censire questo materiale che è appunto annidato all'interno di diversi fondi archivistici e all'interno di diverse unità archivistiche e soprattutto come farlo emergere a livello descrittivo. Come possiamo lavorare per recuperare le informazioni contenute in diversi strumenti di ricerca, ma soprattutto un'altra delle domande che ha mosso, il team del nostro progetto è quello di porci in una doppia ottica, cioè elaborare degli strumenti utili sia per gli operatori dei beni culturali, quindi per gli archivisti, ma anche per gli utenti. Ovviamente, proprio dal punto di vista teorico, la domanda, la prima risposta che ci è venuta in mente all'interno appunto del team è che questi materiali di natura così ibrida ed eterogenea siano descritti nella loro specificità, ovviamente, senza tuttavia mai perdere il contesto di riferimento. Ovviamente quello del contesto è per gli archivisti il nodo teorico della questione. Quello che vedete qua, infatti, è una citazione dal modello concettuale di Records in Contest che riguarda proprio l'importanza di un approccio alla descrizione focalizzata appunto sulla rimarcare la centralità del contesto. È venuto così emergendo all'interno delle nostre discussioni come il nodo della descrizione archivistica sia sempre un punto centrale e si è venuta elaborando una idea di creare una sorta di descrizione nella descrizione che immaginiamo elaborata secondo un modello scalabile, integrabile e implementabile, in grado di tenere insieme aspetti fra loro strettamente connessi, ovvero il contesto di appartenenza, la specificità delle tipologie e il legame, ove possibile, con altri esemplari esistenti. Un sistema, diciamo così, modulare, finalizzato a integrare i campi il più possibile trasversali e appunto cross dominio, integrandoli laddove necessario. La sfida principale per noi non è tanto quello di replicare modelli già esistenti e già elaborati nella loro completezza. Per fare un esempio, non intendiamo riportare per intero tutta la scheda catalografica prevista in SBN o quelle della scheda F per i CCD. O anche, diciamo, riprodurre modelli già esistenti in gran parte dei software di descrizione, quanto quello di mediare, che poi è l'attività tipica degli archivisti, fra le diverse peculiarità e le diverse esigenze e i diversi gradi di analiticità, creando delle schede che siano allo stesso tempo esaustive, ma non complete di tutti i campi già previsti. L'approdo naturale proprio per il progetto del quale facciamo parte è quello in cui immaginiamo i dati che elaboriamo andranno a finire nel nuovo sistema archivistico nazionale, sviluppato dall'Istituto Centrale per gli Archivi. Non mi addentrerò ovviamente nell'analisi tecnica dei numerosi tracciati previsti dal nuovo sistema, tutti fra l'altro disponibili su GitHub, ma mi soffermerò sui livelli per così dire bassi. Il SIA infatti prevede già un sistema modulare, cioè un tracciato specifico per le unità archivistiche, con la possibilità di espandere questo modello generale o generalista con tracciati specializzati utili per la descrizione delle risorse ibride che vedete qua. Si tratta ovviamente di schede specifiche, agganciate ad un livello superiore, che sono state elaborate però con l'obiettivo di aggregare dati provenienti da sistemi archivistici e che però hanno appunto lo scopo di essere anch'esse limitate nei tracciati. Ponendoci però in questa scia stiamo lavorando su due diversi aspetti, cioè elaborare integrazioni a questi dati già esistenti, ma soprattutto, che è un'altra sfida che interessa secondo noi la comunità archivistica, è quello di definire semanticamente le tipologie in uso. Per quanto ci riguarda, infatti, dovremmo fornire ad un operatore una scheda documentaria elaborata secondo un tracciato per così dire generale, ma che può essere espansa attraverso l'uso di vocabolari controllati. Questa è una sfida importante per gli archivisti, quello del lavoro sulle tipologie documentarie, perché appunto i fascicoli ci mostrano proprio la presenza di documentazione eterogenea come stampati, reperti, monete, munizioni, bandiere. Una scelta che quindi verrà fatta in fieri e non ex ante, come in gran parte dei software di descrizione tuttora in uso, e in grado di agevolare l'operatore e permettere così un'emersione scientificamente valida di una documentazione variegata e al momento sommersa. Siamo consapevoli che questa è una sfida importante, soprattutto perché si tratta di lavorare appunto semanticamente sulla definizione di tipologie, sulle unità documentarie, magari e soprattutto confrontarla con le stesse definizioni che esistono all'interno degli ambiti MAB. Per il momento, data anche la tempistica del progetto, ci stiamo focalizzando su alcune tipologie: la descrizione del materiale bibliografico antico e raro e le fotografie. Sfida ben più complessa sarà invece quella di ragionare sulle descrizioni degli oggetti digitali. Avviandomi alla conclusione, vorrei anticipare due importanti suggestioni che stanno emergendo nelle discussioni all'interno del gruppo di lavoro e sul quale stiamo cercando di lavorare e riragionare ovviamente collettivamente. Innanzitutto ragionare sul concetto di funzione, non applicato ai soggetti produttori, esiste uno standard archivistico su questo, ma proprio alle tipologie documentarie. Attraverso i numerosi scambi, infatti, è emerso come un bene culturale ha nel corso del suo tempo più di una funzione e che molto spesso esiste un vero e proprio riuso delle tipologie non documentarie. Vorremmo quindi affrontare una definizione semantica di questo concetto che magari potrebbe portare ad importanti sviluppi teorici e metodologici. Un'altra riflessione importante che è emersa anche in tutte le relazioni che ci sono state in questi giorni è proprio quella di fare parte di una rete, di connettere i dati, di farli emergere e metterli in connessione. Quello che noi faremo ovviamente è popolare un ecosistema, che è quello che si sta elaborando, che è l'ecosistema dei beni culturali, dove dovrebbero confluire anche le digitalizzazioni elaborate secondo appunto lo standard MAX. Il recupero dei dati. C'è un microfono aperto. Il recupero dei dati relativi al materiale sommerso dovrebbe essere quindi connesso attraverso un materiale che si in altri portali, soprattutto se pensiamo al materiale. Niente, andiamo. Tanto ho finito. Allo scopo di agevolare e potenziare sempre di più le ricerche degli utenti dei nostri archivi e di noi archivisti. Grazie.
Grazie mille, thank you very much for this very short, very comprehensive introduction
of the project di Stato di Roma. Any remarks, contributions, questions to this?
Ringrazio questa delegazione della Chiesa Esecutiva di aver fatto queste suggestioni molto interessanti su cui io rifletto da tanti anni perché come artista sono stata seguita i nostri itinerari, quindi diciamo che nessuno della mia formazione mi chieda un po' tutto quello che avete detto e diverse delle cose su cui avete riflettuto le ho viste proprio nel quotidiano. E aggiungo un pezzettino alle vostre riflessioni proprio su questa evoluzione anche dei cataloghi e delle descrizioni fattoriali. Avete pensato anche all'idea di una descrizione anche semantica, cioè di accessi semantici veri e non solo sulla tipologia documentale, ma proprio sul contenuto, perché ad esempio il materiale visivo. E una delle cose che gli utenti chiedono di più è anche un accesso semantico. Grazie.
Vado? Sì, grazie per la domanda. In realtà questo è il punto della questione, cioè era spento. In realtà questo è il punto della questione e secondo me a livello teorico è uno sforzo che come archivisti, ma non solo come archivisti, a livello proprio di comunità scientifica noi dobbiamo fare, perché il pezzo che manca è proprio quello di lavorare sulle tipologie documentarie. Noi abbiamo un problema di definizioni in generale, perché spesso indichiamo con lo stesso termine cose che sembrano la stessa ma non lo sono, perché hanno delle sfumature o delle accezioni che non sono coincidenti. Questo già nel mondo degli archivi, ancor più se ci mettiamo a confronto con il mondo delle biblioteche e non parliamo del mondo degli oggetti museali. Faccio un esempio, nelle schede descrittive del SIA c'è una scheda che si chiama manoscritto. Ora, che cosa intendiamo per manoscritto? Lo possiamo prendere da tanti punti di vista e potremmo tutti dare una definizione diversa. E allora quello del lavoro semantico è la chiave di accesso e secondo noi anche la chiave del futuro, perché se non ragioniamo appunto su queste necessità qua, ovviamente creeremo sempre degli strumenti non performanti e non rispondenti alle domande di oggi. Questo è il punto. Sì, ci abbiamo pensato. Ovviamente il nostro è al momento un progetto a tempo, finiamo a giugno del 2025, però questo non significa che ovviamente le riflessioni che cominciamo a mettere in campo non avranno poi altre ripercussioni. Insomma, speriamo, ecco, speriamo. Devi.
E vorrei aggiungere che in modo particolare il lavoro sulle risorse bibliografiche ci costringe a ragionare soprattutto in senso semantico, quindi diciamo che quella linea di lavoro in qualche modo apre un po' il campo e la mente anche no, di noi archivisti che magari in questo senso non siamo più soliti lavorare sugli aspetti semantici, ma poi soprattutto ci dovremo porre il problema perché il progetto guarda soprattutto all'ecosistema del MIC, dove idealmente sarà possibile fare ricerche cross dominio e chiaramente tanto più si arricchiranno le descrizioni di elementi di questo genere, chiaramente tanto più sarà possibile rinvenire risorse diverse anche in un contesto archivistico.
No, thank you very much. If you would begin. From Rome, we're doing a big leap to Central Europe, to Budapest. I want to welcome the colleague Ali Denovac from Budapest City Archive. And he will give us an overview about open archives, databases, and online interfaces of the Budapest City Archive.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, dear conference, thank you for the opportunity to speak today here in Venice. Budapest City Archives is the second largest Sorry. Budapest City Archives is the second largest public archive in Hungary with 130 employees maintained by the city of Budapest. It preserves about 37,000 linear meters of records dating from 1300 to the present day, originating from the institutions of our 2 million inhabitant capital and from several hundred private individuals. In recent years, we have presented at several ICARUS events how our institution strives to open up towards the general public, how we introduce civilians to the world of archives and our work during the archival picnic, how we create data visualizations, how we appear on social media platforms, and we have also introduced our podcast channel. Today, here in Venice, I would like to present to you our databases and online interfaces. The first and perhaps most important database for our researchers is the digital archival system accessible through eleviltár.hu. The word leviltár means archive in Hungarian. On this website, users can choose whether they want to browse the holdings of our institution, the Budapest City Archives, or those of the Hungarian National Archives. The website is available in Hungarian, English, and German, but the structure itself can only be viewed in Hungarian, as you can see on the projected example. Free online registration is available. Users must provide their personal details, and after verification by our colleagues, they can request archival documents for research online from home. When a researcher visits the archives for the first time, they must verify their identity with an ID card to confirm that the provided personal information is genuine. As you can see in the projected image, our archival holdings open up in a tree structure, the country code, HU, and the abbreviation of our institution, BFL, Budapest Főváros Levéltára, i.e. Budapest City Archives in Hungarian, are followed by a Roman numeral indicating the record group. The numbering of record groups was standardized by law in the 1970s in Hungary, and every public archive must follow this system. This means that, for instance, Roman numeral 2 refers to higher administrative bodies in every archive. For example, 10 stands for associations, 13 for families, 14 for individuals, and, for example, 35 for political parties, etc. Currently, 36 record groups are distinguished into which each archive classifies its holdings. For example, if we want to read the will of Franz or Ferenc Házmán, the last mayor of Buda, we should look the record group 13, font 24, which contains the papers of the Házmán family. Within that, the mayor's papers are in series 3, and the will itself is under item 16. By clicking on the item, the user can add it their cart, and after finalizing the request, submit it. Our colleagues prepare the materials within 3 working days, and they can be consulted in our research room, provided, of course, that the researcher complies with GDPR regulations. We have quite a large number of researchers. According to the latest data, 4,600 people have registered so far this year, and more than 14,300 documents have been requested. Clearly, this database is widely used. The next one is the Budapest Time Machine. I will not go into much detail about the Budapest Time Machine, since my colleagues have presented it several times to professional audiences, and our Director General, István Kenyeres, has published a comprehensive article about it in English. As the colleagues here surely know, the term time machine does not refer to a science fiction device, but to a digital system that allows spatial and temporal browsing through interactive, georeferenced maps and large-scale historical data. Its purpose is not merely to provide descriptive metadata, but also to display digitized content such as plans, documents, and photographs on a user-friendly interface. The concept was inspired by the Venice Time Machine, launched in 2012, which remains a visionary project despite its interruption. Its European continuation is the Time Machine organization, founded in 2020, now comprising over 660 institutional members. The Budapest initiative is one of the most advanced within this international network. The Budapest City Archives had already begun the foundational work for this in 1975, creating topographical indexes, later undertaking mass digitization, and the georeferencing of maps, which ultimately made the time machine possible. The first version of the system was launched in 2017, publishing data on several platforms, building plans, the 1944 census of flats, land registers, aerial photographs, etc. A key technological step was the vectorization of historical maps, which produced Google Maps like digital city maps covering the period between 1837 and 1937. Archival and library databases can be automatically linked to these. Budapest Time Machine 2.0, launched in 2023, offers an integrated mobile optimized 3D interface. Users can explore the city streets and immediately see the documents, images, and plans associated with each building. A 3D city model has been created at the block level, and students of Óbuda University are producing detailed building reconstructions in ArchiCAD. 70 of these models have already been integrated. The project is continuously expanding. New data segments are being added, AI-supported processing is underway, and visualizing the suburbs of the 1960s and 1970s is among the next goals. Today, the Budapest Time Machine stands as one of Europe's exemplary projects made possible by the collaboration of all archive, libraries, universities, and civic partners. Numerous digital databases are available on our website: wills, municipal council minutes, maps, records of socialist era, land registers, party archaeologies, the digitized papers of communist dictator Mátyás Rákosi, civil lawsuits, the 1944 census of the Budapest Jewish population, prison registers from the late 19th century, photographs and postcards, probate cases, high school graduation exams, architectural plans, and orphan cases. Each database and the list of fonts are described in English, but by clicking on Open, users are redirected to Hungaricana, the central collection portal, which is available only in Hungarian, as are the sources themselves. Hungaricana hosts millions of our digitized pages. During upload, we naturally took GDPR regulations into account, and only materials compliant with data protection laws were published. Among our separate online interfaces are the so-called thematical pages. Here you can find our online archival journal, Budapest Archival Mosaics, or in Hungarian Budapesti Levéltári Mozaikok, published for 5 years now, with about 15 issues each year. The editors and authors are all colleagues from our archives, and the studies often relate to notable events or anniversaries. It is a standing requirement that each article must be based on at least one source from our collections. Another feature is the archival 1-minuters, levéltári 1-percesek, an idea by my colleague Erika Garami, who has been writing them enthusiastically for more than 3 years. In 3.5 years, over 160 short essays have been published. The rule is simply, each text must be under 2,000 characters, so it can be read about in 1 minute, just as the title suggests. Topics usually relate to anniversaries, significant events in Budapest's history, well-known or lesser-known figures linked to the city, or events connected to buildings and places. Some recent examples now projected on the screen include European Inventors Day. The first female doctor graduated from a Hungarian university, as you can see on the display. Elvis and the Hungarian Revolution, the Day of Hungarian Painting, and so on. Originally, Erika created these for Facebook, but due to their popularity, and since many are small, well-researched scholarly essays with recently cited sources, they have been given a permanent home on our website. They all are searchable from the beginning. According to our tradition, we organize one large exhibition and several smaller chamber exhibitions every year. At present, our exhibition on the 1950 unification that created Great Budapest is on display. Last year's focused on the history of Budapest transport, and the year before on the city's bridges. Each of our exhibitions has an accompanying online interface, and once the physical exhibition is taken down, all visual and textual materials are uploaded and remain permanently accessible in digital form. These materials are available in Hungarian. Our online platforms dedicated to architectural history and design plans are also very important, but I will not go into detail about them due to time constraints. In the final part of my presentation, I would like to talk about the philosophers' archives now held in our institution and the virtual exhibition dedicated to Agnes Heller. The archival estates of several members of the world-renowned Budapest School, founded by the philosopher George Lukács, have been deposited in our archives, including those of Agnes Heller and Mihály Vajda. This provided us with a unique opportunity to work with materials that are somewhat unusual for archivists and historians, yet essential to preserve, process, and make accessible. For this reason, we hired a new colleague and researcher specializing in the history of philosophy, who is systematically processing these philosophers' estates. The Agnes Heller papers were the first to arrive in July 2020, after which the archival arrangement and philosophical evolution of the collection began. In March 2021, a two-day conference was dedicated to her intellectual legacy. The volume of studies based on the conference presentations, autobiography and philosophy, essays in memory of Agnes Heller, was published in April 2022. Meanwhile, we prepared the virtual exhibition designed to help both the scholarly community and the general public gain a deeper understanding of Heller's life and work. The exhibition, accessible from our website, is visually rich and interactive, presenting her biography, ideas, and intellectual legacy. Currently, it is available only in Hungarian. After the arrival of the Heller collection, several prominent living philosophers contacted our archives to offer their own papers. Perhaps this makes the beginning of a new archival era, maybe. As I mentioned in the introduction, our archives has collaborated on two data visualization projects with the Budapest-based ATLO team. The first project completed in 2020 commemorated the centenary of the Treaty of Trianon, which ended the First World War. We identified Budapest streets named after places, rivers, or regions that became parts of neighboring countries, the former Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Austria, and Poland, as a result of the treaty. Interestingly, more than 10% of today's Budapest street names are of kind of this. I have already presented this project in more detail at the ICARUS convention in Novi Sad. Our second data visualization project also focused on Budapest street names. We listed all streets named after people and analyzed how many of them commemorate writers, kings, generals, politicians, and, importantly, how many are named after women. This latter aspect caused quite a stir in the media. Only about 11% of the streets named after individuals honor women, and even among those, only a small fraction are named after real historical persons, more referred to mythological, allegorical, or literary figures such as Fortuna, Diana, or the fair shepherdess. In this presentation, I have tried to show how our archives strives to share with the wider public the vast body of knowledge and information preserved in our repositories. I have reviewed our databases, the Time Machine, and our various interactive platforms that bring Budapest history closer to people. Due to time constraints, I could not discuss our social media activities or our podcast channel. This could easily be the topic of another presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Balint, for this overview of the very impressive activities of the City Archive of Budapest the last years.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward for the next results. There must be a lot to ask about, but as you mentioned, we have a very strict time schedule, but anybody got some remarks? Any questions to this? No? Perhaps you could you give perhaps some numbers, for instance, for a time machine, how many people using this, what's the acceptance, and from what parts of the world, exclusively Hungarians or more, even global perhaps?
Now I don't know the numbers. Maybe my colleagues know better than me. But I will ask them in the coffee break.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So, last but not least, I want to welcome...
Maybe.
Maybe, no, for sure. Monica Del Rio from Archivio dello Stato di Venezia, giving us information about the project Reductio ad Unum, a journey to raise awareness of the archival heritage.
Yes, one moment, I will.
It's
Buongiorno a tutti, ho l'onere e l'onore dei padroni di casa di chiudere, quindi vi ringrazio per essere ancora qui e cercherò di essere concisa, ma voglio farmi portavoce del percorso che in tanti assieme abbiamo fatto nell'Archivio di Stato di Venezia negli ultimi 30 anni, sempre con l'obiettivo di migliorare le possibilità di fruizione del patrimonio archivistico che conserviamo, in tappe diverse, ma comunque interpretabili come una reductio ad unum. Possiamo dire che abbiamo cominciato negli anni 90, quando due leggi, la prima del 1990 con il piano organico di inventariazione, catalogazione ed elaborazione della carta del rischio dei beni culturali, e la più specifica del 1992 hanno permesso all'amministrazione archivistica di finanziare il progetto Anagrafe informatizzata degli archivi italiani, ricordando anche che nel 1994 esce il volume della Guida Generale degli Archivi di Stato contenente la voce relativa a Venezia. Tra il 1997 e il 2000 abbiamo il primo database pensato in Gumta che usava come motore SQL Windows. La sfida in quel momento richiedeva di collegare, di verificare descrizioni generali con la reale situazione dei depositi, di produrre una descrizione topografica allora inesistente che desse conto della esatta collocazione e consistenza di ogni fondo, tenendo conto che l'Archivio di Stato di Venezia conta di due depositi, uno qui ai Frari e un altro nell'isola della Giudecca, ed alcuni fondi sono divisi tra questa sede e la Giudecca. Questa particolare situazione ha reso necessario un approfondimento della descrizione proprio su quanto conservato alla Giudecca, e questo è avvenuto nel 2004 e sono stati quindi integrati i dati nel sistema. Nel 2006 si aprono due nuove piattaforme online, SIASVE, il sistema informativo dell'Archivio di Stato di Venezia, che ha significato il recupero del precedente database e quindi dei dati descrittivi in un nuovo ambiente software, e l'integrazione in questo ambiente del database relativo agli strumenti di ricerca, che seppur in formato immagine, perché riproducevano gli esistenti strumenti di ricerca ottocenteschi, ha permesso una consultazione online. La seconda piattaforma era Divenire, attraverso cui si è resa possibile la consultazione da remoto di intere serie di documenti riprodotti in digitale, collegate alle descrizioni del sistema informativo. L'impegno allora si è concentrato nel rivedere, modellare e presentare i dati secondo gli standard di descrizione ISA ed ESISA. Nel 2012 abbiamo la svolta epocale perché abbiamo informatizzato la gestione dei servizi di sala studio. Cosa significa? Le richieste dei documenti avviene attraverso un sistema informatizzato attraverso cui si controlla la movimentazione, quindi la consegna in consultazione e la ricollocazione a scaffale. Se da un lato questo permette di sapere sempre se un documento è richiedibile o in consultazione ad un altro utente, dall'altro richiede una maggiore precisione a 360 gradi. Perché ogni documento deve avere un'esatta collocazione, ogni documento deve essere univocamente identificabile. E quindi questo ha richiesto di assegnare ad ogni documento un numero. L'utente deve poter identificare ogni documento con una segnatura completa e questo ha significato la produzione di nuovi strumenti di corredo. Abbiamo quindi dovuto affrontare l'obsolescenza tecnologica, perché vi ricorderete per esempio che il 12 gennaio del 2021 Adobe Flash Player è andato in pensione e SIASVE lo utilizzava per la visualizzazione degli strumenti di ricerca. Quindi abbiamo affrontato un'importante immigrazione, questa volta verso il software Arianna di Iperborea. Cosa migrava però? Questa è stata la prima vera reductio ad unum. Infatti atterravano in un unico ambiente software che noi abbiamo chiamato More Veneto le descrizioni di SIASVE, che significa descrizioni per più di 14.000 fondi, serie e livelli gerarchici, 1.200 unità archivistiche, 1.500 soggetti produttori, 954 strumenti di ricerca collegati
ha più di 37.000 JPEG e più di 102 PDF. D'altra parte, nella nuova piattaforma migrava anche quanto contenuto in divenire, il che significa più di 121 immagini digitali che potevano essere collegate a database indipendenti, che potevano essere in formato TIFF piramidale, TIFF o JPEG, ognuno con metadati differenti in relazione al progetto da cui avevano avuto origine. Tutto doveva convogliare in Arianna. La migrazione ha richiesto una riflessione che permettesse l'allineamento di due sistemi costruiti su logiche in qualche modo diverse. Infatti, il software Arianna introduceva schede descrittive per entità, che richiedevano di essere collegate attraverso specifiche relazioni ai nuclei e alle unità archivistiche. Quindi ci troviamo in questa situazione che descrizioni archivistiche diventeranno ovviamente descrizioni archivistiche, ma per esempio le descrizioni di unità archivistiche andranno a dividersi tra schede di unità archivistica e schede di unità cartografica, che verranno collegate alle loro immagini, qualora i documenti fossero riprodotti, ma anche a schede descrittive di persona, di organizzazione e di luogo, con la specifica relazione. Le schede che precedentemente erano di soggetto produttore diventeranno schede descrittive di entità persona o di entità organizzazione. Le schede relative agli strumenti di ricerca, avendo collegate immagini e PDF, non abbiamo potuto fare altro che trasformarle con un escamotage in unità archivistiche, perché era l'unica scheda del software che poteva aver collegati immagini e PDF. Nel 2023 si pone un altro problema. La casa produttrice del software Archimatic non ha più interesse a mantenerlo ed aggiornarlo, quindi deve essere abbandonato e sostituito. Il problema si poneva per noi, per l'Archivio di Stato di Milano e per l'Archivio di Stato di Firenze, tutti utilizzatori di questo software. Contestualmente l'amministrazione archivistica, che comunque, ricordiamolo, stanzia le risorse economiche necessarie attraverso cui gli istituti affrontano le spese di gestione per piattaforme informatiche indipendenti del Ministero, stava approntando un programma coordinato da ICAR, Istituto Centrale per gli Archivi, per lo sviluppo di un ambiente di gestione e di descrizione condivisi a livello nazionale, punto di accesso unico alle risorse informative e ai servizi digitali di archivi e soprintendenze. Quindi un'unica infrastruttura con componenti diversi, quali Sala Studio, poi vedremo, e SIA. Sala Studio è una piattaforma che si propone di gestire diversi servizi per l'utenza. La richiesta dei documenti per la consultazione in un determinato giorno e quindi collegata ad un calendario, la movimentazione dei documenti, quindi in relazione alla loro posizione reale in un dato momento, se in consultazione o nei depositi, alla loro precisa collocazione nei depositi e allo stato di conservazione. E questi sono i servizi che attualmente noi utilizziamo, le funzioni che utilizziamo in Sala Studio. Però Sala Studio potrebbe anche gestire le richieste di ricerca scientifica, le richieste di copia di un documento, la prenotazione per la partecipazione ad eventi organizzati dall'istituto. Certo è che Sala Studio, per poter funzionare, deve poter contare su descrizioni strutturate in merito a collocazione dei documenti e stato di consultabilità, che sia ex legge, che sia per ragioni di tutela o che sia perché ci sono riproduzioni digitali disponibili. Dati che va a pescare da SIA, a cui è strettamente legato. Le informazioni relative alle collocazioni in Archimatic nel software precedente erano però descrittive, non strutturate. Quindi è stata necessaria un'operazione che ha curato Marco Lanzini sfruttando solo per economia di lavoro l'intelligenza artificiale. È stato necessario strutturare gerarchicamente le descrizioni dei dati topografici, normalizzare i dati relativi a questa descrizione, per esempio affinché la gerarchia fosse sempre edificio, area, locale, armadio, ed è stato necessario normalizzare le numerazioni, che potevano essere costituite da numeri romani, arabi, lettere e combinazioni di questi, non sempre riconoscibili dal sistema. C'è da notare inoltre che se inizialmente Archimatic gestiva in maniera simile i dati dell'Archivio di Stato di Venezia, di Firenze e di Milano, nel corso degli anni gli istituti hanno personalizzato l'utilizzo di questo software, facendo sì che si dovessero studiare soluzioni diverse nel passaggio a sala studio. Avvenuto questo passaggio, abbandonato Archimatic, non è stato più possibile consultare agevolmente i dati storici tra il 2012 e il 2024, che per noi è un problema. È stato risolto attraverso una piattaforma user-friendly, anche questa volta grazie a Marco Lanzini in collaborazione con ICAR, che soddisfa la necessità degli istituti di avere il controllo sui dati storici di consultazione e di raccogliere dati statistici. Dopo una lunga fase di test, l'Archivio di Stato di Milano, di Venezia e di Firenze hanno adottato Sala Studio a partire da luglio 2024. A gennaio 2025 è entrato l'Archivio di Stato di Roma e a giugno l'Archivio di Stato di Novara. Gradualmente entreranno tutti gli archivi di Stato. Anche perché la Direzione Generale Archivi del Ministero della Cultura, con 2 circolari di aprile e luglio 2024, ha caldamente invitato gli istituti periferici a lavorare per entrare nei sistemi nazionali. Quindi ora siamo impegnati nella propedeutica, sempre assieme a ICAR, per la migrazione dei nostri dati e delle relative relazioni dal nostro sistema More Veneto al sistema nazionale SIA. I numeri di cui parliamo a questo punto sono questi. Descrizione di fondi, serie, quindi livelli alti, siamo a più di 15.000. Unità archivistiche più di 24.000, compresi gli strumenti di ricerca. Abbiamo più di 17.000 unità cartografiche. Tutto questo con le relative specifiche relazioni a più di 8.500 entità persona, 1.500 entità organizzazione, 2.800 entità luogo, con relativi oggetti culturali collegati, quindi parliamo più di 32.000 immagini digitali e un numero di PDF che al momento non abbiamo potuto quantificare. Allora, è un processo complesso che ci pone delle criticità. Solo per darvi un'idea vi porto degli esempi. Le entità, per esempio. Le descrizioni di entità, persone, organizzazione migreranno nel nuovo sistema nelle schede di descrizione agente, che hanno relazioni specifiche diverse a seconda se siano collegate a fondi o a unità. Le entità luogo invece migreranno come authority, quindi in un altro tipo di scheda con un altro tipo di relazione. Gli strumenti di corredo, avevamo detto che noi avevamo usato un escamotage e li avevamo descritti come unità archivistiche, quindi in un rapporto gerarchico rispetto al complesso archivistico che descrivevano. Ora in SIA esistono delle specifiche schede di descrizione dedicate agli strumenti di corredo che hanno una specifica relazione con il nucleo archivistico che descrivono e con l'oggetto digitale sia PDF o JPEG che rappresentano. Infatti la situazione a livello di software poi vedete è questa. Ultima criticità che vi presento è quella di dover considerare che in More Veneto I fondi sono descritti secondo una struttura logica, mentre in SIA attualmente sono migrate le informazioni strutturate secondo un sistema di numerazione che caratterizza gli specifici fondi. Quindi talvolta, come nel caso che vedete, coincidono, perché ogni serie ha una numerazione, quindi coincidono. Dall'altra non coincidono perché un fondo può essere articolato logicamente in più serie, ma avere un unico numero di corda e quindi essere rappresentato dal punto di vista della gestione della movimentazione con un'unica serie. In questo caso le descrizioni dovranno essere allineate. Abbiamo parlato della nostra esperienza, ma in questo momento la reductio a unum non riguarda solo noi e ICAR sta curando questo processo che vede la migrazione di molti soggetti. Da SIAS, il sistema informativo degli archivi di Stato, sono migrati finora 94 archivi di Stato e 31 sezioni d'archivio. Da SIUSA, che è il sistema informativo archivistico delle soprintendenze, finora sono migrate 19 soprintendenze che però vigilano su 17.000 soggetti conservatori. Dal portale relativo agli strumenti di ricerca al portale nazionale sono migrati 133 inventari creati dal software Archimista, 533 creati dal software Sesamo e più di 2700 PDF. Da Archivio Digitale, che è la grande teca delle riproduzioni digitali nazionali, sono migrati 10 terabyte e ora si stanno avviando le migrazioni degli archivi dotati come noi di un sistema informativo indipendente. 8 sistemi informativi si basano sul software Arianna, 7 sul software Indam e 2 sul software BlueJ. Per cui, e concludo, è un processo complesso, sfidante quotidianamente sotto punti di vista diversi. Un processo che ha portato a lavorare assieme dal centro alle periferie, in collaborazione sistematica e come mai prima avevamo fatto, con l'obiettivo alto, miriamo alto, di soddisfare l'utenza. Ma non sempre ci riusciamo, offrendo assieme maggiori e migliori possibilità di fruizione del patrimonio archivistico che consente. Grazie.
Thank you very much for your contribution from the State of Venice. Anybody want to add something, some contribution from your side? Thank you very much. We almost made it in time. Congratulations and thank you very much for the discipline of all you speakers. I think till 1 o'clock we have now coffee break outside and afterwards the possibility to join the archival guided tour. But
Okay, but there's some words here as well. So, okay.
Okay, so just a couple of minutes more. First of all, would like to thank you, all of our speakers, all of our chairs, all of those who made it possible to organize the workshops and the parallel sessions. And of course, our dear hosts, Mr. Andrea Arposo, Federico Diamanti, Paola Benussi, but also Monica Del Rio from your team. A big applause to you all. So, and as about to ending up and summing up this wonderful convention here in Venice, but of course, all of those who want to continue now the tour will be very shortly gather here outside, and perhaps Andrea, you would like to add something. But before doing this, as our joint journey with the ICARUS community, and each of you who just joined this time as the first time, please follow us next years and definitely the years to come. But every time we announce our new conventions dates and location a couple of months before the next one. But now we already know that the next convention will be held in Estonia, in Tallinn, not far away from here, just 2 flights, one from Venice to the Germany. You can just find a spot, and then from Munich or from Frankfurt to, directly to Tallinn. So don't miss the chance, but we will announce the exact dates late December or early January. Just check our channels and media, but most likely we will organize it in the end of May, and most likely during the last week of May, but to be 100% sure, so follow our channels. So thank you all once again, and now Andrea, perhaps the final words I will give to you, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Birgit, and thank you to all the ICARUS team for this incredible 3 days convention. I think that we need more than 3 days now to put together all the input, and this is a good result for a convention. A lot of discussions, a lot of meetings. So I think that our first purpose to create bridges has completely done, and so this is for us a starting point. And from now we are joining ICARUS community, so I hope to meet you in Tallinn and everywhere else. This community will be hosted. So just 2 more information for the ending, because the social part is not even finished. So now there is the coffee break, and then we will start with the visit of the deposit. We need to split into groups. One will be led by me, and the other one by Stefania Saviane. And we will enter in the Sancta Sanctorum of the archive. We'll talk about archives for all these days from different point of view. So now we go back to the material. So the material thing. So start from the beginning of what archives are. So thank you again to everyone. The participation was so high. I think that for a convention about archives is even in Italy is something really outstanding. Okay, so we are really proud to be archivists after these 3 days. So yes. Before going upstairs, please leave your bags here, or here is better. So someone will control, but take your coats. But please leave the rucksack, sacks, bags here for security reason. Okay. So thank you, and see you in Tallinn.